either put a hold on their mail, therefore it gets held at the post office and they pick it up. You'll see the mail stops. At that point, send a letter to them, certified mail, to your address that you, the property owned where they were living. The post office does not forward certified mail. If they put a change of address in, they will put a yellow sticker on that letter and send it back to you with the new address.
That's pretty genius.
Okay? But if they're avoiding creditors, you know, if they don't want people to know where they are, you know, they avoid people like you, they owe everybody, they'll probably notify those who they want to know where they are. But if they put a change in, you'll get it. Or if you haven't done it and you've already filed, I actually have forms that my office can submit to the post office only if action has been filed, and we can gain that information if they have it on record, and it's if. But what I really recommend, there's some gray area whether that extends prescription or not. But once you get that new address, send them the same letter. Demand whatever money that they owe you. And when you do that, instead of that 1 year prescription that you had to file action, you've now extended it to 4 years.
So if a tenant, I'm in this situation right now, so a tenant owes us money, he moved out middle of the month, didn't pay rent, and we've had to do quite a bit of work to the place since he moved out. So what I need to do now is send him a letter, and then I file.
How long ago was it that he moved out?
The
He moved out
15th.
on the 15th.
Okay. Is mail still being delivered to your?
I don't know, but I'll check the mailbox tomorrow.
I would send a letter, certified mail to your address there.
Asking for the money that he owes. Do we file something in small claim court as well, or what else do we do?
Well, you need to locate somebody before you file action.
Okay.
Unless you come to the end of prescription and you wanna hurry and do it, you know, before before prescription runs. But I would never go spend the money until I tracked them down first.
Well, he just bought a place.
But we don't,
6
he
floors
bought a
down, so-
place in the same complex. So
Oh.
he's there, but I don't know the unit number.
Oh, okay. He bought it,
Yeah,
go to the
Well-
clerk's office and look through the records and,
that's what, yeah.
Well, I think he's doing owner finance, so it might be a little bit difficult, but anyway.
Now I can go to deed.
So once I find his address, is
well, if
small
he's there, he
claim?
probably put a change of address in.
Probably.
So then you'll get the letter back with that yellow sticker I was telling you.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay, so is small claims court the place to file, or,
Depends on, well, depends on the dollar amount.
$3,000?
How much?
$3,000.
Okay, now, Justice of the Peace Court is not considered small claims court, it's JP court, but it is a lower court. It equates to small claims, but it's technically, Livingston Parish doesn't have it. I think Baton Rouge is considered just city court, JP court, then they have district court as well. But some places you do have what's called small claims, and I don't know what their jurisdictional limit is, but in JP court, it's 5,000.
Okay.
So it's in EBR. Do you recommend going to
What part of town is it in?
Old Hampton Airline?
That's probably, and his office is about 50 yards this way, around the corner here. Stephen Sanders, I believe, is your Justice of the Peace that you would need to go to. I'm pretty sure anyway, I could be wrong, but I think it's Stephen.
But you would recommend not going to Stephen until after we have the right address?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, get your information in order.
So a question on that end, did you submit a notice, did y'all put a notice?
I didn't have to evict him, he moved out.
Okay.
But he left over money. That's the
Yes.
problem.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So he abandoned it.
He abandoned.
Correct.
He-
And he made a leave.
Yeah, we,
Now, one
8
thing-
months left on his lease.
That's abandoned.
As a matter of strategy, you basically want to try to collect and use the threat of judgment as an incentive for him to pay up.
Mhm.
So in the eviction, in the collection process, you don't want to go for the judgment first. You want to try the process of collection with that as your leverage
Okay,
before you pull the trigger on
okay.
There were a couple other things that I really wanted to touch base on too.
it. Go for it.
Have any of y'all done like bond for deeds or
Lease option.
Lease option.
where, okay, when it comes to justice of the peace court, a justice of the peace court does not have subject matter jurisdiction anytime there's a dispute over an ownership interest. So you may have a lease purchase where there's an option in there and they've not exercised that option, and that's fine. But if any money that they have already paid out is going towards ownership, if it's gonna be credited to them in any way, then a justice of the peace court does not have subject matter jurisdiction. Now, I'm not saying that that don't slip by a lot of JPs, but I'm telling you that we don't. And that matter in city court does not either. So that would have to be handled in district court.
But that's only if any portion of the rental amount that they're paying or the lease purchase amount that they're paying is being credited towards.
If
the
they have
purchase.
an ownership interest, no matter how small, you know, then it needs to be, if it was filed with me, it would have to be transferred.
So if they're doing a lease with a option to purchase,
Well, it
and it's a
depends, has
separate
that option
option.
been executed, has it, you know, I don't know, I mean, what's the terms? I mean, if it's after paying $15,000 down or something, you know, and if they have not, then I would say you're still in that rental at least. But, I know of one particular individual that he will collect about $6,000 up front. They pay all of the property taxes, everything that someone would do that's buying, not renting. And they will try to disguise these leases so they can try to get by and file in a court that has no jurisdiction, so it's cheaper and quicker and easier and all that. And when I see that, I dismiss it. But I know, you know, it's unreasonable for someone to put down that much money as a deposit if they're just renting. Why would you pay property taxes if you're just renting? You know, I mean, but everything adds, they're trying to disguise it. And then if you look in there, well, if you stay the remainder of this time, blah, 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 they're gonna credit this, well, then they have an ownership interest. So just be careful of those type of agreements. And then Lane and I spoke about that the other night. And where there's an ownership interest like that, you might be bordering a tax problem as well. And I'm not gonna get into that because I'm not a tax person, but just, you know, just be careful. But any matter like that would have to go to the district court. And I don't fool with bond for deeds because that is an ownership issue as well. But if you have a bond for deed, and sometimes it does not say bond for deed, but if you have an agreement where someone has agreed to pay X amount of money each month, and at the end of a certain period, you promise to deliver, guarantee them clear title, then that's a bond for deed. So if you have that type of agreement and it's recorded, of course, it needs to be recorded, but you have to cancel that bond. The way you do that is if there's a default, like they haven't paid their rent, you have to send them a letter, certified mail, and they have 45 days to correct the default. If after 45 days they have not corrected the default, then you can go cancel that. And it's a matter of submitting certain things, statements, sworn statements and things, certain documents to the clerk's office, and then you get it canceled. And that's something you would need to consult an attorney about. But I'm just telling you in case any of you ever fool with bond for deeds. And once it's canceled, then you can proceed with an eviction. Now, in my opinion, if a matter is before me and the bond has been canceled and everything is legitimate, then I will treat it as a rental situation. I do know of some JPs that go a step further and claim they may have an ownership interest, and they'll transfer it to the district court. But those could be kind of tricky. Bond for deeds are real good for the buyer, in my opinion, not good for the seller. I mean, you know, 45 days to fix the problem. So what if you're late every month? And that brings up another thing. I had a management company from Baton Rouge that was representing the homeowner who lived in California, I believe. They filed eviction proceedings against these same individuals for 7 months consecutively. They filed, they came in, and they worked it out. The next month, they came in, did the same thing, got the judgment, before the constable put them out, they paid, worked it out. And this went on for 7 months. I think 7. I think the 8th month, I thought I would, and I'm gonna throw a little term out there, ex proprio muto, which is Latin for on the courts on a card. I took on my own, I decided I'm gonna research this, because I know once you set a precedence, but I wanted it in writing. I wanted to see something from a higher court. And I researched it, and in the digest, which is nothing but court cases, and it references different matters such as these type things. But the higher courts have ruled that in a situation where you've allowed a tenant to continuously be late, you've now set a new precedence, okay? You actually lose your right to evict for non-payment of rent until you give written notice. So let's just say the rent was due on the 1st, but you give them a written notice. And in that notice, you let them know that, or is this a notice to vacate? I'm just holding up a paper. You give them that notice, basically saying that, hey, your rent's due on the 1st, I've been working with you for months, but I can no longer do that. Starting, now it would be unfair to do it the day before, but like starting next month, I'm gonna enforce it. I cannot accept it late anymore. So, you have to be, and I refuse to evict these people. The boss from the real estate company called, and he wasn't real nice. But I stood my ground, and I actually sent copies with them to support my decision, my position. And they never had to file an eviction against them ever again. And I ran into them on another eviction and said, we didn't like that, but it was the best thing you did. It got their attention, and they were never late again. But, so, sometimes you help people, but you gotta be careful, and I think it's good that you do work with people. But, sometimes it's a toss of what I do, and it's all strategies and all. But usually you help, you go overboard, and they take advantage of it, usually. I can't think of anything else that I wanted to talk about. I think I've pretty much touched everything. If there's one other thing. When somebody, a lot of times you'll have people put pressure on you to move in. I'm in a hurry, okay. Well, the house isn't really complete. I need to do, you might need to put some crown molding up or change this water faucet to dripping or whatever. And in a sense, they've moved in and accepted it that way. So they really have no, they're the one that's kind of given up something there. You really don't have maybe the same obligation they've accepted, but still do the right thing. But if you receive if you do need to do necessary repairs, the way it works, the procedure requires that tenant give you a notice if it is something that is your responsibility. I'm not talking about they want to change the color of the paint, but if it's something that's vital and it's your duty and obligation, they need to give you they shouldn't have to. They should talk to you and you should do it. But if push comes to shove, they have to give you a notice in writing, okay? And if you fail to repair or take care of any of these necessary repairs within a reasonable, that's the way the law reads, reasonable period of time, then that tenant can go out and get estimates and have it fixed and deduct it, legally deduct it from the rent. Now, what's reasonable time? Let's say if it's in the winter time and they have a pipe breaks, it freezes and so the water's an issue. You can't get a plumber, you know, they're tied up, it's gonna be 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks is okay. I mean, you know, but if it's in the middle of the summer and you need that plumber and they're not busy, you know, then you need to address it, you know. So reasonable, you have to use common sense as well. And it varies, it's whatever's the norm would be, you know. So anyway, but I think that's about it, you know.
All right, sounds great. Anybody have any questions? Any more questions for?
So, I know that last part was real quick, but I actually have a situation like that, so I wanna make sure I understand what you're saying. We have a tenant in a property, the property's being managed by a property management company.
Okay,
Out-of-state owner.
okay,
There's a water leak that's creating mold in the property. And the tenant, every couple months, is spraying bleach water to try and tend to it, claiming that she's contacted the property management company numerous times, and they haven't done anything to take care of the situation and find the source and repair it.
okay.
So her action needs to be sending a notice in writing to.
That's her proof that she brought it to their attention.
So does she send it to the property management company?
Whoever she
Since
deals
they're
with.
representing,
Mhm.
because they're collecting the rent. And stating that these are the concerns we've made, you know, we're asking now that they be addressed within a reasonable amount of time. And if they aren't, then we're gonna, you know, make those repairs ourselves and deduct it from
I
the.
would recommend someone to get at least three estimates, and if possible, use the cheapest. That
Okay.
way it justifies.
Send the estimates with the notice, or
Well,
one, you have to send the notice
No,
and then you
basically,
kind of move
let them know
forward?
what needs to be repaired, and if they don't do it, then go get your estimates, then fix it, and then deduct it from your rent, if that's what you need to do.
Okay, okay, awesome. Thank you.
Just to review, to make sure that I understand the process correctly, that we talked about and put into the details, but step one is a notice to vacate is posted. Starts at 5 business day minimum clock. Petition for eviction is then filed. A hearing is then scheduled and eventually accomplished. The judgment is rendered, starts at 24-hour clock. After that, a writ of possession is awarded, and then the final step is the actual constitutive.
Well, a writ of possession is issued only upon demand, the need of it,
Okay.
yeah.
Then the sixth step, I guess, would be the constable or the sheriff actually accomplishes the eviction.
Right,
That's a general overview of the process.
right.
Okay, thanks.
Now, I did have, and I apologize, I don't have many. I brought some things here I didn't really need. I only have 4, but these are little pamphlets that the Attorney General's office put out, you know, it's like landlord tenant. I haven't really looked at this one, but the one they had prior to this was landlord and tenant relations, and it was really good. Now, like I said, I haven't looked at these, but.
They have a PDF on their website.
But I think you could,
Can I see that for a second?
and if y'all need some extra copies of these things here, I would, oh, also, notice to vacate was a termination of agreement. Sometimes it may be just a verbal agreement, somebody's on a property, you want them out, and just terminate an agreement. But if you're gonna buy a property, always try to find out if it's vacant or occupied. Or if it is occupied, and it's an active rental, you know, you might wanna just check with the clerk's office and see if the lease is recorded. Usually, commercial properties, leases are recorded more than residential. But if it is recorded, then you as a buyer are bound to that, you know. Otherwise, you know, you can up the rent, you know, that sort of thing, once you purchase it, if it's not recorded. But if it's recorded, it's encumbering that property, it's gonna hold that, that amount, you know, that's recorded.
All right. Do you have anything else to add or share? Or
When I leave here, I'll think about things. And I'm not a good speaker, I do know my eviction stuff, I just don't speak well, so I apologize. But,
Great, thank
I
you.
thought
but
you did
anyway.
great.
I thought it was excellent.
So, thank you again.
Hey, Rob, I got a question.
I would have a
You
question.
mentioned, including an article number for that waiver. Where do you find that article number?
This is a code of civil procedure, and it's 47, oh, well, I'd be lying if I did. You look in here and it references like some numbers stuff.
4701 to 4705, Louisiana Civil Code Procedure. 4701 to 4705. You should break a pen.
It's been breaking.
And if it were with me, I don't care if it just says that they waive the requirement of the amount required in the Louisiana Code of Civil Procedure, but I just think it's always best to be as thorough as you
Right.
can, to eliminate anything that becomes.
There was a good thing.
So, anyway, hopefully, like I said, we know a lot of thoughts on this tonight. Come by and give us some expertise on the process. So hopefully, everybody's learned quite a bit. I know I did about the process and where to go. Just an unfortunate situation you have to go through. So, but at Title2Land, like I said, Lane Bennett, he wasn't here this evening, but he can handle any legal questions. If you have a question with tenants or you have any, you know, issue with property, reach out to us. You know, Lane, I'm the marketing director, not the attorney, but Lane can guide you in the right direction and give you great advice on where to go from there. So real quick, I wanted to give Eric a couple minutes here as well, because we started up a new meetup. We have meetups here, you know, throughout the month of real estate. Eric started a new one, so go ahead and explain or talk about your meetup.
Talk about it real quick. I also want to acknowledge we've got a couple other people who lead meetups here in the room. Anna, on the third Monday of the month, does her wholesale meetup over at Williamsburg. It's over by
Superior Grove.
Superior Grill.
You're not familiar with it. Sorry, sometimes I struggle with names. Robert Leonard was here to join us. He also, yours is also the third Monday of the month.
That's correct. And Lafayette.
Do you either do Lafayette or
No, it's always Lafayette.
always Lafayette? Okay. Second Tuesday of the month, Richard McRae hosts the Baton Rouge Ring meeting. We didn't have one this past month, but typically that's going on. The one that I'm doing is the first Monday of the month, and I'm calling it the Baton Rouge Accountability Group. Okay. Now, how many of you have ever heard of the syndrome of failure to implement? That's where you hear about a really good idea or a strategy, you say, no, that's something I ought to do, but then time goes by and you don't do it. Well, that's kind of what Baton Rouge Accountability Group is all about. We create an environment where we basically discuss the different principles about understanding how to set goals, how to actually come up with action steps to accomplish your goals, and then one of the key portions is we actually form alliances to help create the environment where we will work with each other to make sure that we're actually doing those things. Now, one of the books that I recommend people read, I want to say it's written by Bill Hybels, is Who You Are When No One's Looking. Okay. And that basically speaks to character, is making sure that you're going to do what you said that you would do, regardless of anybody's checking up on you or not. But we all stumble and we all fall short sometimes, so it's not a bad idea if you're getting into the habit of making sure that you're always doing what you need to be doing, that you make yourself accountable to somebody else who's also trying to achieve. And really wanted to share real quick was from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 4, starting in verse 9. It says, 2 are better than one because they have good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. Again, if two lie together, they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him, and a threefold cord is not easily broken. So if you've ever had a bad day or something in your life just come in and throw you sideways and, you know, stuff starts tasting purple and you're like, you know what, I've had it, I'm just not doing it today, I just need a break. Well, that's really where an accountability partner or an accountability group can help to make sure that you stay on track. Now, I've been told that most airline flights are actually off their scheduled flight plan more than 90% of the time. But when they notice that they're off track because of a headwind, a tailwind, or something like that, they correct back onto the course that they're supposed to be on. I would posit that if you're out there by yourself, it may be a couple weeks before sometimes you can get back on track. But if you're with a group of other people that are motivated to move forward, they're gonna try to keep you on track pretty much on a daily basis. So, if you're interested, check us out. You can go to meetup.com, Baton Rouge Accountability Group. But our next meeting will be next Monday, and which is October 1st. Sorry for you Monday Night Football fans, but it is when it is. It's actually going to be at the East Baton Rouge branch of the public library. So check us out on meetup.com and hope to see you there.
So, Blue Bottom.